morning.
There's just one question that's common through all the interviews, and that's one question that David is sick and tired of answering in all of the years of interviews that he has given.
I guess the question of is there a glut? Is there a glut? Is there a glut? When is the next downturn? I guess that's the one that is frequent.
Okay.
Very, in some ways it's easy to answer, in some ways it's hard.
Yeah.
Because they always kind of want to know what the crystal ball says.
Yeah.
And sometimes it varies on the economic cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a glut?
Is there a glut? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Do you feel like you are the man holding the crystal ball for the Philippine real estate
I think a lot of
section at some levels?
I think a lot of people have crystal balls in the market, and we just spend a lot of time looking at it and validating what we see in that ball
Okay.
from our perspective.
So what does David do when he's not looking into his crystal ball and estimating where the market is going?
Well, I try to stay a little healthy. I try to get more balance in my life. I try to spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
Read some books, go back to art. That's
Is
one
art
of the
something
things.
that's been with you through the years, or it's something that you developed over time?
I was drawing since I was like a grade school student, but I had to give it up because we had to make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my mom, I wanted to take fine arts, and my mom said there's no money in fine arts, and so I had to give that up and go into something like business back in school.
So when did you dabble back into art? When did you say, okay, now I feel like I'm at that stage where I can also do what?
I don't know. It's just not there yet.
You're
We're
not
not
there
there
yet.
yet. Yeah. I look at all the art I look at art in these galleries, and it's like, okay, I can do that. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do that. But then the big question is, did I do that? No. Did anybody? Did somebody else do that? No. So at one point, you're gonna have to get off your I could have done that chair and actually do it. So one day I'm gonna do it, but I don't know. We'll see.
How do you keep art a part of your life then, with such a busy schedule?
Well, I just thankfully there are all these apps right now,
Yeah.
and just keep looking at art, and then I doodle every time in the plane. So when most people are in the plane watching
Movies?
videos, movies, and sleeping, I'm there sketching.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's helped you in business in any way?
Yeah, because in drawing you kind of have to watch out for a lot of detail.
Yeah.
You look at proportions, you look at symmetry, you look at how things are balanced, and it's kind of helped with clients. It helped me become more sensitive to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there something that you see in your children as well, where there is a side of?
Yeah. They about of the six of my kids, 4 are pretty actively doodling, drawing, and they're developing that talent.
And do you feel like now that you understand this and it's something that you kind of own from the time you were really young, you kind of encourage them to do creativity more, and you see that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a high risk career to have been an artist or to dedicate some portion of your life to art, to see whether you're good enough and to see whether you'll make it. Very high risk when I was growing up, and it's not so risky for them now, given our family history and given the economic progress that this country's made. Yeah, so art's good. I mean, you've got people who have gone from zero to like selling $1 million per piece in their 30s in the Philippines. Is unheard of. I mean, you have people who are considered masters who have been doing this for 30, 40 years, and they're not selling $1 million.
So what do you think it takes to take?
I don't know. I'll find out when I get there. if I ever get there, if they get there. We'll see.
Fantastic. Apart from art, we know you've looked at AI and you're getting into that space. How do you feel, not in real estate, but just the world that we live in, that is so technologically connected?
It's the best time to live, I guess, than any point in the previous history. Maybe the future will be better. It looks like the future will be much, much better. We got into AI space just as a life vest or as a lifeboat
Yeah.
in case the ship sinks.
Yeah.
Because the core business is real estate brokering,
Yeah.
which may be significantly impacted by AI.
Yeah.
There's a lot of material in the world about AI. We've heard the best of it, that it will bring us to the next stage of humanity.
Yeah.
It will, I don't know if you've heard of the term transhumanity.
Of course.
So that is the biggest plus side to it.
Yeah.
But the worst side to that equation is the destruction of the middle class
Yeah.
globally. That could be, pretty bad. And
But looking at all the
so
data, you do feel, I mean,
It's
there's
too
an
early to
analysis
say.
for everything, right? There's a good,
It's too
bad,
early.
middle.
too early to say. And so that's why we punted on this AI project.
So let's talk about AI a little bit more, maybe with regard to the Philippines, because you understand this market the best.
Well,
AI
thank you.
AI at the core of it all depends on data, right? It depends on information that is fed in. How do you feel? Because in Asia, that's the biggest conversation we have about how gray the data is. How do you feel about that?
We still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
The reason why we have done what we've done in the core business is we have, number one, information, and number two, we've got enough brain power to think through what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have a long way to go.
Sure.
We kind of cover risk for clients by giving them light in an opaque market.
Yeah.
We hope to keep doing that, and hopefully with this whole data learning, with the improvement of computing capacity, we'll be able to do a lot of that faster, quicker, better.
Do you feel like this is a space you would, I mean, because it's Leechiu, it's more in the commercial sector, or do you see this trickling down into
It'll be
residential?
everywhere. It'll be everywhere.
Okay.
It'll be everywhere.
But you think the commercial sector will embrace it the largest in the beginning?
It'll be the most easy to adapt to.
Okay.
The residential is so opaque.
Yeah.
It's super opaque. That's why it'll take time to get a grip.
Okay. Because you're a father of 6 and we live in times that are so connected, how do you feel about your kids being constantly connected?
Yeah, we have Wi-Fi in 2 rooms in the house.
Okay.
That's it. We have a rule to not have your phone during tables.
Yeah?
And I always tell them to limit their time with social media, because the internet offers you more than just social media.
Yeah? What do you mean by that?
Meaning social media, yeah, you can keep chatting with your friends and send pictures about what you're eating and where you are, but there's a whole lot more about the internet, and the biggest opportunity is learning.
Yeah.
And connecting with people for either business or making the world a better place.
Do you think that this comes from a core of discipline, right? It comes from a core of, the flip side of what technology has done is it's made us super distracted. As a community, my dad calls me a humanoid. He said, you're no longer human, you have something attached to you all the time, which is
Yeah.
my phone.
Yeah.
Which, yes, of course, keeps me connected to work all the time,
Yeah.
but also keeps me connected to all my friends who only put up what's perfect in their life. No one ever puts up the bad things. It's always the best holiday destination or the great food that they're eating.
Yeah.
And it creates this sense of,
Artificial.
yeah,
Yeah. But I guess the internet has allowed us to share our joys,
yeah,
right? But also our sorrows.
yeah,
And maybe the most difficult and desperate of times, we will share our sorrows.
Do you
Maybe
see that
sometimes
happening?
too publicly. Yeah, I see it with a lot of people.
But do people perceive it as strength?
People will see it as maybe bravado,
Okay.
maybe as a sign of help to reach out to people. I talk to the people who push mental health
Yeah.
in the Philippines, and one of the signs they say is if they're reaching out that way, then you gotta make sure you're there,
Okay.
you know.
So if David was given a magic wand today and said you had one thing to change about the world and the way we did things, it's a hard question. It's not an easy question.
No, it's something that people ask me all the time, and I always say the same thing. I wouldn't change anything.
You wouldn't change anything?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
I wouldn't change anything.
Because you think the world is perfect with its imperfections, or?
No, it's just whatever it is that's happened has happened for a reason, and it's made me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It shaped me the way I am, and I couldn't ask for anything better, I guess. I had to go through very difficult times because I had to,
Mm-hmm.
and I overcame certain things with the help of many people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's helped me become who I am.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything.
But as a whole, as a world as a whole, like if you could change something for all of humanity, as standing today, would it be climate change? I would pray for like maybe the temperature to come down a few degrees.
I think if you look all the way back, to 100,000 years, humanity's been basically trying to kill each other. So I think if we could stop trying to kill each other,
Yeah.
then I think it will make a much better place.
But I think the times we live in, we're a lot more civilized at the front of it all, right? I don't think too much of us has changed even in 100,000 years. I think at the core of it, we're still.
Well, this is the longest peacetime we've ever had as a race.
True.
Look at the last 100,000 years. This is the most peaceful 70 years.
But I mean, the world's changing and fighting with itself in different ways. Trade wars is still a form of war.
Yeah, but it's not wiping out civilizations. You're not. There's enough check and balance to prevent genocide,
Yeah.
right? If you look at what happened to Latin America or to certain parts of Asia,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at how Rome grew its empire, I mean, it's pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that we don't have stuff.
We
like
don't
that
live in those
happening.
times.
Yeah, there's certain parts that are
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
but less so now than 70 years ago.
So you truly believe we're living in the best times?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we could have accelerated all of this by 10,000 years
Yeah.
if we just learned how to live peacefully with each other.
And you think that's possible?
It's possible, yeah. We've
With-
done it for 70 years.
No, but I mean to live. I mean there are these human traits that come out, right? You are a creative person, so
Yeah.
there's a lot more that can be projected than numbers.
I think this trajectory of peace is long lasting because people only go out of their way to hurt other people out of desperation,
Yeah.
and there's a lot less of that than
Okay.
before.
Okay. Because of just basic necessities of food and.
Yeah. Capitalism has allowed a lot more development,
Yeah.
a lot more freedom for
Okay.
people, and a lot more access to education than ever before. And the internet has just accelerated that.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically made education free.
It's made the world such a small place. I mean, sitting in Asia, you almost feel like you're part of. You understand cultures from different places because, if nothing else, you're consuming content from everywhere else, and from a cultural perspective, you start understanding people a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is travel big for you? Is that something you look at from a educational standpoint too?
Yeah, definitely. Travel is a big thing. It's one of the biggest educators
Yeah.
you can ever employ.
So if you're to advise maybe a young 20-year-old who's traveling and has decided that travel is important for them to educate themselves, how would you advise them to travel?
Just live as cheap as you can for the next 20 years of their life. The first 20 years of their working life, they have to keep living as cheap as they can.
So save?
Save, invest, save, invest. Save, invest.
But doesn't that go counterintuitive to traveling? Usually travel is, even if it's a little money, it is money.
Yeah, but it's also investing in yourself.
Okay, fantastic. So it's like take a portion of it, don't travel luxuriously, but travel wisely, and that's a form of investment.
Yeah.
Thank you, David, for being on the show with us. It was great chatting with you and all of your wisdom that you shared with us.